Hey, this is Patriot Homestead. I want to wish you a brand new Happy New Year. And I hope that your day is filled with joy and you're around people that you love and who uplift you, because that's what we need. We need to be around people that uplift us. And I'm blessed that I'm able to shine my light out there and helping others. Now I know that the Lord directed me on this path, and it really it makes so much difference in my life. And I told the Lord, I wanted to help people when I was not able to do much, and thank the Lord I'm able to now. And I just want to share my dad with you in a little bit and let him tell you a story. And we've had a hard year, y'all, but we're gonna make it, and we're gonna do better, and we're gonna survive like we always have. And I'm going to take you along this little journey this next year, Lord willing, if I'm alive and nothing happens, as my daddy says. He says, Lord willing, and nothing happens. And some people say, Lord willing, and the creek don't rise. But I want to take you to see my daddy and let him tell you a story. And I know somebody had mentioned that they wanted to hear Daddy tell them a story. So I'm going to take you down there and let you hear my daddy tell you a story about some old times in the mountains when he was a young'un. God bless you. I'll see y'all.
I can tell you, they won't believe it.
Okay, well, tell me anyway, Daddy.
What I say is true.
Okay.
It's the truth. It happened to me back in 1942. I was 5 or 6 years old. My daddy and grandpa were walking down to the garden, and my grandpa told Daddy, said, Lee, they bombed Pearl Harbor last night. And Daddy said, well, we'll sure have war now. He said, we can't get around having war now. That was in 1942. I was about 5 or 6 years old.
Yeah.
And sure enough, they bombed Pearl Harbor. And another thing too, we lived back in the mountains in a little old log cabin there at Sluter, North Carolina. And Sluter, it's up there back this side of Hendersonville, North Carolina. We lived back in the mountains in a log cabin. We had to tote our water from a spring down there to the house. We had 2 10-quart water buckets. We kept it full all the time. And me and my brother George, we walked down to the creek there. The spring was right there next to the creek. And we filled our buckets up with water and got ready to come to the house. And then down the creek there come 2 little leprechauns in a boat. One had a little funny leprechaun hat on, and the little woman was in the back, and she had a little bonnet on or something. And we had pawned the creek up to make a wash hole, and I got the little boat hung up on the creek on one of the rocks we had dammed up where the water is. And the little man leprechaun took his foot and pushed away from the rocks, and they went on down the creek there. But that's the truth. And at night, sometimes we could see the little leprechauns are coming across the yard there. We'd go out and stay out and play in the yard till right at dark. And we saw 7 little lights coming across the yard there, real close to the ground. They wasn't over about 6 or 8 inches high, or maybe 8 inches high. And they had their little lights, and they were walking real fast. And they come across the yard there, and we seen them. There is leprechauns there in the mountain. That's back in the 40s now.
Yeah.
We lived hard back then. We had to tote water from the spring, and keep the water buckets filled up. We had a water stick. We run through the handle of the 10-quart water bucket, and I'd get on one end of the stick, and my brother would get on the other, and we'd go up the mountain there with the water. We had a notch cut in the middle of the stick, sourwood stick, and we'd carry the water up to the house there. But that's true. That's how we lived there, back in the mountains there. But that's the truth. God knows I'm telling the truth.
That's okay, Daddy. I know you are.
I wouldn't make it up.
I know.
Back then, times was hard, and we had spring lizards in the spring there, and Daddy told us never not to bother his spring lizards because they kept the vein of the water opened up so that wouldn't where we'd have plenty of water in the spring.
Right.
And so we took care of his lizards. We'd get her water out of them and get her water and towed it back to the house. But on Saturday nights, they don't do it just nowadays. They don't do it just like that. But on Saturday nights, we'd go possum hunting.
Really?
Yeah, we'd take our old tow sack or old croaker sack, and Leroy Pace and me would take us possum hunting, and then treat that old dog. The name was Bo and Lad, the two possum dogs, and they'd treat the old possums, and I'd climb up a tree and get them alive if I could. I'd start their neck and go up and sew them up and put them in the sack, and we had 3 old possums in the sack there, a good possum hunting night. And we had a possum box, we called it, and we'd keep the possums in the possum box for about 3 weeks and feed them buttermilk and cornbread and get the wild taste out of them. And then we'd have baked possum sweet taters. But that's the truth. They don't do that nowadays.
Well, that's good.
But that was her get-together on Saturday night. Yeah, we'd treat them old possums. One time the old possum had 2 or 3 in the sack. The possums went to fighting, and I threw the sack down. They bite me through the sack and the back of my back there, and I threw it down. Possums went everywhere, and the old dogs treat them back. Oh, they got them back, but I never ever forget that. It was on a Saturday nights we'd go possum hunting.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the truth. Back in the 40s now, I don't do that nowadays.
Yeah.
I'll be 86 years old next birthday.
Yeah.
And I wasn't but about 6 or 7 years old, about 5 or 6 years old. Back in 1942, December, that's when they bombed Pearl Harbor, and I was born in 38. I wasn't about 5 years old, but I remember it.
Yeah.
But my grandpa, he says, Lee, we'll have war for sure now. They bombed Pearl Harbor last night. And sure enough, we had that bad war when they bombed Pearl Harbor with Japan. It was,
Yeah.
and that was back in the times when times was hard, and when everybody in the mountains had it hard back then. Meat on the table was a good sight. We'd take our possums and we'd keep them there till they got that wild taste out of them, and then my mama would bake the possums, and we have possum and sweet taters, and that was way in the creek in the daytime. Packlet Falls was run down through there, and we'd go down there and get under the waterfall down there at Packlet Creek and wash off real good and play in the water, and we had a time. One time I caught me and my brother, we thought we'd have a fish fry. We'd catch them little minnows out of the creek. We built up a little old fire on the bank of the creek there, and the wind come up and caught the pasture on fire. They had the office time of putting out that fire it ever was. Yeah, it was they come down there, Leonard Gordon come down there, and he took his old coat off with the fan in and beat the fire out. But I never will get that. Mama said, well, we'll have to whoop them youngins for getting that fire out. And my mama had cut an old green pine and it priced us real good. It didn't hurt. We felt like we was half dead. But she whipped us with that old green pine. It didn't hurt, but it looked like she was half killing us. but we tried to roast them fish, them minnows in the creek there and have a fish fry. But we caught it though. I'll be 86 for birthday. That happened way back when I was just a little kid.
Yeah.
But Mama would go down to the creek there and wash her clothes down there at the creek. She had 2 tubs. She had one tub she'd boil the clothes in with Red Devil Eye soap. She'd boil the clothes in them and boil the dirt out of them. Then she'd put them over into another tub and take a rub board, old-fashioned rub board, and rub rub the clothes clean, you know. And she would rub the clothes clean. And my sister, Lorraine, she'd come down there and hang them on the bushes. We didn't have no clothesline. She'd hang them on the bushes down there. And then before dark, Lorraine would, my sister, she'd go down there and get the clothes off. And it seemed like they smelled so good. But we had her, once a week, we'd go down to the creek there and have clothes washing.
Yeah,
But that's the truth. That's how we live.
that's
Came
good.
back to live back in. And my grandma, she lived down there, and she cooked her meals on an old fireplace. She had a hot fireplace and a hearth in front of it, and she'd pull the hot coals out and put them on top of the old Dutch oven. Put the coals up, put the fire on top of them, the red hot coals on top of them, and on the bottom, and she'd make some of the best cornbread you ever eat.
It's good.
My grandma, she'd boil them beans. She had an old pot she would pull over the fireplace there and boil the beans. They smelled so good, boiling like that. And we'd go down there and we'd eat pinto beans and cornbread she cooked. And that was the best thing we ever ate, seemed like. And still, like, back then you could get a box of country matches, Strike Anywhere matches, for a nickel. You could buy them country matches for a nickel, Strike Anywhere matches. And one time I went over to Morgan's store, and she sent me over to get a box of matches. And I come back and I threw the matches at her, the box of matches at her, and they exploded.
What?
Yeah, her box of matches exploded. And my mama, she fussed us out for throwing the box of country matches at her. And all of them didn't ignite. She had enough in there to do until we went back to the store.
Yeah.
But that's the truth. Mama would do that. But Morgan's store was about 3.5 miles, no, about 3 miles from where we lived at. And we walked to there and got our country matches. Sometimes we'd have a few pennies left over, and we'd buy some candy of what was left over.
Yeah.
But we had a time and a half back then. My brother and I had slingshots. We become experts within slingshots. We could shoot birds and squirrels, anything with them. We become pretty accurate with the slingshots with them. I had this old timey slingshot rubber. Back here you can't find it nowadays, but you can find that old timey slingshot rubber made out of an inner tube or something like that. We'd cut it off and make our slingshots with it. But we had a time and a half, my brother and I. Played an old harmonica when I was about 8 or 10 years old. You get a harmonica back then for $0.25. And I learned to play. I've been playing the harmonica all through my lifetime, like that. And I learned to play them old-timey songs. Give me that old-time religion. And when the saints go marching in, and one of them old-time songs, I'd play. And I got a bunch of harmonicas nowadays I play.
the end of the video. I didn't get the rest of it, but the song that Daddy played, Amazing Grace, he was playing and the Lord touched his heart so much he just couldn't do nothing but respond in tears. And so I know that the Lord had a plan for that video, and for the one that I put up. I had other plans, but God had a different plan, and maybe it's for a reason for all of y'all, and maybe it'll touch your heart just like it did my daddy. And it touched me. It touched my heart so much. And sometimes when I hear my daddy play that harmonica, I know that the Lord's playing with him and through him, because he plays the most beautiful music when he's there. So anyway, I want y'all to have a wonderful, happy New Year, and I hope this blesses you and whoever wanted to hear them stories about the mountains. God bless you.